Well, we've all seen the video where a trip to Mexico turned into a nightmare. 2 Americans kidnapped in the country are now back in the U.S. recovering in a hospital. Here in Texas, the FBI is working with Mexican authorities to recover the bodies of 2 others who were killed in the cartel attack. Welcome to The Factor Uncensored tonight. One of the 2 surviving Americans was shot in the leg. The female who went to Mexico for a cosmetic procedure is also doing fine. This comes as the U.S. State Department renews its warning again this week about traveling to Mexico. National security expert DURPREE joins me to talk about this situation and the precautions you should take while traveling.
Greg, when we hear what has happened, what's transpired in Mexico, initially 4 people were what we assume were kidnapped, caught in the middle of a gang war, a shootout. It's our understanding now some have said they think or they thought that the individuals who were taken hostage were members of the Haitian gang or a Haitian drug dealing organization, and 2 of them ended up dead. 2 are alive. They initially went there. We're told now by the FBI for one of them to get a medical procedure, a tummy tuck. It is just a mess and a reminder just how dangerous it is to travel to foreign countries, specifically Mexico. You and I talked only a few weeks ago where the State Department warned parents about allowing their children and their teens and their young adults going to Mexico for spring break. Now we have this, people going for a medical procedure, and now 2 of them are dead.
Right. And that's correct, Isaiah. You know, it's a sad and tragic thing that happened to these people, but it wasn't like the warning signs weren't there. You know, we spoke about spring break and going to these resort villages and these resort locations. And if you know they're having a problem with safety around these Mexican drug gangs, you know the smaller, the non-resort locations are having a bigger problem because they're less controlled. And it's less likely that the police or law enforcement is going to get involved to protect the people that live there, let alone the ones that are coming across the border to visit. So it's just, you just can't take a chance in going into Mexico knowing that all this is going on right now. That's my opinion.
And of course, you mentioned there was a warning about resorts, and we're talking about reputable, big resorts that have now been taken over by the drug cartels.
Exactly. And the thing is, as I said, you're taking a chance when you go into any location in Mexico now because things seem to be less stable than they have been in the past. And, you know, if you're going to a resort location, you figure you have a reasonable amount of safety when you travel to those locations, but that doesn't exist anymore. And as I said before, you know, if that's a problem in the resorts, these well-established locations, you know it's a bigger problem in these non-resort towns and cities.
And if you find yourself kidnapped in one of these cities or states in Mexico, I mean, it's not like you're going to get a quick resolution. Exactly. Because America is not going to go in. They're not going to send in the commandos with guns a-blazing. Mm-hmm. I think Dan Crenshaw said that we should push a bill, legislation that would allow the U.S. military to move in and to deal with the cartels. But members of the Mexican government don't want that. So that won't likely be a solution if you find yourself as a tourist caught up in one of these dangerous situations.
Exactly. When you go there, you're taking your life in your hands. And you just have to face the facts. You're on your own. So unless you have enough money, which most of us don't, to hire your own private security force that can come in and travel with you, or if need be, rescue you in case you do get kidnapped, you know, as I said, you're taking your life in your hand. It's a heck of a chance to take.
Absolutely. Now let's assess or take a look at these individuals from South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Initially, we heard that they were looking for affordable medications, prescription medications. Now we're hearing that there is a tummy tuck. What's going on? Why were they there from South Carolina?
Well, for a cheap cosmetic procedure. That's why not just these folk, a lot of folk travel down there for those reasons. And you have to think about which do you value more, your vanity or your safety?
And going to an area like Mexico, especially with are people not hearing and heeding the warning that the State Department is telling us over and over again? They're saying, don't go here, don't go there, it's dangerous. You're putting your life in your hands if you go to some of these very dangerous areas, because many of them, still third world countries.
Exactly. Well, I believe people are hearing the warnings, but they like to play the odds, just like they do in Vegas. They figure, hey, it doesn't happen that often, and it's not going to happen to me. It's going to happen to the other guy. But people never think that they might be the other guy. So as I said, you're taking a heck of a risk going down there with the way things are down there at this point.
And Greg, what would be your advice rather for individuals who are, about to take that spring break or about to take that affordable vacation to Cancun? Because even we've heard about problems in Cancun. That used to be considered the safe place to go. What would you tell these people who still have plans to go to Mexico for the holidays, for spring break, just for a getaway?
Yeah, well, I would tell them the same thing I've been telling family and friends. If you're going to go down there, you have to maintain situational awareness at all times. You have to maintain a sense of security wherever you're going, and all the people that are traveling with you, you should stay together. No one should be wandering off by themselves. You should stay together collectively as a group, and you should watch your surroundings to pay attention. Not to, for example, if you go out to a nightclub, don't just pay attention to what's going on at the nightclub or inside the nightclub. You need to pay attention to what's going on outside, because just like these individuals, you could get caught up in something that doesn't involve you at all, but you could still become a victim.
Now, according to Mexican authorities, some people in connection with the kidnapping have been arrested, and more arrests are to come.